The scene at Daytona International Speedway as the field gets the 1-to-go signal. Green flag next time by for today's Drive for COPD 300, the season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Some stories to set up the season in the series and today's race from pit lane. First to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Alan. Hello, everybody. And folks, in case you missed it, today's Nationwide Series opener has plenty of star power, like 11-time most popular driver Dale Earnhardt Jr., whose 6 wins here put him one shy of his famous father and Tony Stewart. Jr. starts mid-pack. It's going to be fun to watch him carve his way to the front. And up in row 2, how about Danica Patrick in that 30 car? Now, strong Hendrick horsepower beneath the hood. Everyone expects Danica to go to the front very early, and many believe she will stay there all day long. Yes, this could be the day that Danica Patrick gets her first major NASCAR victory. How historic would that be? Here's Vince Welch.
Veterans Elliott Sadler and Regan Smith have made it clear anything short of a championship this season is unsatisfactory. Now, no titles are going to be won today, but a great performance or a disastrous day could set the tone for the weeks ahead. Now, Elliott Sadler and Regan Smith both fell short last year. They both got something to prove this season, and it begins today. Dave Burns?
Earlier in Countdown, you heard Big Brad articulate that unequivocally experience would matter, and I agree, especially with the new rule preventing tandem drafting. Even though Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, and Brad Keselowski have won plate races going 2x2, they, as veterans, have adjusted and adapted over time. Expect them to run up front today. Jamie Little?
Well, Dave, it's the year of the young guns. 8 rookies in today's field, led by 18-year-old Dylan Kwasniewski. He's on the pole in his first ever Series Nationwide start. Keep your eye on Chase Elliott. Heard a lot about him driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Ty Dillon takes over that championship-winning number 3 team vacated by his brother, Austin Dillon. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. 4 drivers to the back of the field. Dakota Armstrong and Landon Castle, unapproved post-impound adjustments. Ryan Reed's in a backup car after a qualifying crash, and Ryan Sieg missed the drivers' meeting. So 120 laps for the 300 miles today, and for these drivers, they're coming down to get the green at Daytona.
Yeah, most of them for the first time in competition in about 3 months. They're very nervous right now, more so than any other race, because they haven't been competing, and it is Daytona.
I'd be pulling the reins back a little bit on my guy just because of that. These guys are ready to go.
Pace cars off. Time to start the NASCAR Nationwide Series season for 2014. Green flag at Daytona. Charging through to the lead, inside line of cars, Kyle Busch with Elliott Sadler right behind him, 54-11.
As much as we talk about change, some things just don't change and stay the same, doesn't it? Kyle Busch going to lead that first lap of the season, it looks like. We had an interesting mix. We talked about up in the top 15, a lot of inexperience and some cars that we don't expect to see up front a lot all day. And I know a lot of those drivers are wanting to kind of get out of the way. Sometimes that's harder to get out of the way and let those ones that go forward go on without creating a problem.
Yeah, it looks like this line has kind of formed on the bottom of the racetrack, and it looks like that's going to be the prevailing line for now. We've seen in the Cup Series it actually be the top lane that seems to be the preferred line. In the Truck Series, it was the opposite. So I've been kind of interested to see just how these cars with their aero package, how that's going to develop. Right now we got 3 wide back in the pack.
That's a little tight. 85, Bobby Gerhart, Pennsylvania veteran. Knows how to handle himself out here at Daytona. He's won in the ARCA Series 8 different times.
You can see Chase Elliott right there with his teammate in Regan Smith in that number 7 car. Kind of boxed in up on the top right now.
28 yellow car is the veteran Mike Wallace down on the inside of that 3 wide. A lot of new colors and numbers and combinations to start this season.
Everybody filing by Regan Smith in the 7 as he goes to the back.
Hardest thing in the world for a race driver, so easy for us to discuss, right? But patience. We're only in the very beginnings of a 300-mile race at Daytona in the draft where you can make up some lost time. There's Regan Smith with a good car, kind of caught in traffic, but having the patience to work his way where it settles out and he can cleanly get around the Gerhard car and then start trying to pick up some spots.
He's smart enough to know that this part of the race doesn't mean anything, and it can really hurt his season. He's looking at the big picture here too. Although this is a big race, he knows that he has to have a car in one piece to be able to make any points or have a chance to win this race.
Yeah, you can see Junior give Brad Keselowski a little tap there. I think, speaking of Regan Smith, I think he would have liked to have gone forward, maybe get up there, but he found himself boxed in, and so he just decided to hang out at the back. And we always see him at these restrictor plate tracks up front when it counts.
I expect to see these Cup drivers be able to do this without pushing each other, but to be able to get really, really close to each other and try to maximize that drafting. I saw it right there with Dale Jr. and Brad Keselowski.
Keselowski alongside the 10th place car, Brian Scott in the 2. So they were 10 single file. Now Keselowski and Junior, 22 and 88, starting to advance that outside row a little bit.
Yeah, I was kind of wanting to see, as Andy pointed out, we saw the Cup cars and then the duels, they went to the top and kind of ran single file there. Last night, the trucks were just the opposite, the bottom, the outside lane. Matter of fact, only twice, and it was with the same truck of Timothy Peters last night, did that outside line make a run to the front. Now we're seeing Keselowski make a charge here. I believe he might can lead this group to the front.
Inched his way up a few rows. Just underway, clean start. And Kyle Busch has led all of the laps so far, but we're very early in the going at Daytona International Speedway. Caution is out here at Daytona International Speedway. You're looking at 20-year-old Harrison Rhodes, one of those drivers making his first NASCAR Nationwide Series start at this track. Something mechanically goes wrong under his car. Jason White spinning in the aftermath, but that's it. Just those two cars involved, though it brings out the yellow flag for the first time.
Yeah, you're going to see, this right here is Harrison Rhodes in the 24, and right behind him, you see it's just smoke, and they can't see. Jason White makes a move to avoid what he thinks, really doesn't know probably because he can't see. Spins out through the grass.
It's a nice piece of driving by Rhodes, too.
Yeah, he could have hit something hard right there.
Yeah,
that could have been a lot worse. It's a bad place to have one let go, I bet, Dale, right there in the trial.
Yes, absolutely.
You see Jason White trimming a little grass through the infield.
Yeah, I think maybe he saw that happening, and when he went to the right and probably jumped on the brakes, that turned his car, I believe, right then. Could have been a little bit of fluid also with that. It looks like he's going to be okay.
So yellow flag out for the first time, 9 laps into the 120-lap race.
That's not a law enforcement car. That's police sunglasses.
And pit road will remain closed while they remove Rhodes' car from the end of pit road and all the safety workers and so on working there. My question is, will we see anybody on the pit lane here this early in the race?
Well, it's been 9 laps, and you might see some guys come in, duck in, especially at the back of the field. I'm not sure if you'll see the leaders come down this early. Looks like a lot of them getting ready, though.
Daytona, one of those places where tires aren't worth a lot of speed, fresh tires, since they repaved this track a few years ago. But managing your fuel backwards from the finish is a factor here.
Yeah, and anytime you can get on pit road under caution to get that fuel, it extends that what could be a long green flag run, and you wouldn't have to pit there and maybe lose a lap.
But if we do, and you see a lot of them on here, this is when we see a lot of contact on pit road. Drivers coming in, trying to get out of their pit stalls and things, so you have to be careful.
It looks like most of the leaders are staying out here, but the lights are still on at the end of the pit road, so it's not open yet.
Yep, there you go. While they clean up all that oil and liquid left from the Harrison Rhodes car. Take a break, come back, see if anybody makes any pit stops, and get you ready for the restart at Daytona. Road open. Dave?
Oh, Matt Kenseth nearly runs into Scott Lagasse, leaving, and he does run into the 84. So leaving pit road after fuel only, Matt Kenseth with big contact on pit road.
When you're getting that splash of fuel and everybody's still on the lead lap, chaos results.
Exactly what Dale was talking about. This is the worst situation with all these cars on the lead lap, coming and going, and you can't tell who's going in their pits and who's coming out.
Kevin Kidd, crew chief for Kenseth's car this year. Trying to assess the damage and see if he needs to come back in.
And Kenseth came in third. You can see they're just going to get a splash of fuel, back out, but only about half the cars have gotten to pit road. You see Legacy coming in his pit, and then big contact there with Chad Boat.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage right there.
See right there, he avoids contact with Legacy.
Dave?
Kevin Kidd apologized to his driver. He said, "Sorry, Matt, I had my eye on the 29, not the 84, and that's the one that got him into trouble."
So difficulties for Matt Kenseth, and that is him showing that smoke from the right front, so he'll be back in. But early, time to fix it and come back and try and get the trophy. One lap to the restart at Daytona. Quick reminder, the CarQuest Auto Parts NHRA Nationals seek qualifying 2 a.m. Eastern tonight on ESPN2. Then tomorrow morning, our Sports Center at the Daytona 500 Special, presented by Goodyear, an hour ESPN2 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. CarQuest Auto Parts NHRA Nationals final eliminations tomorrow night, 8 Eastern on ESPN2. And then next weekend, race 2 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series is at Phoenix International Raceway. Note, it's on ABC next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time. So you saw Matt Kenseth, who had that trouble and that contact on the pit lane, but just 13 laps into the race. If you're a Kenseth fan, we illustrate why you shouldn't fret too much with what happened to Regan Smith in this race last year. Regan at lap 31 was running ninth, got turned out of traffic, spun out, had to pit, recovered all the way to the lead, then slid through his pit box, had to come back around in pit, went from first to 26th, then went back to the lead and was defending the lead when he got in the wreck coming to the checkered flag a year ago. So on 2 different occasions, had troubles, went to the back, and came back up front to the lead. For Matt's fans, I know they're saying, well, I hope his day doesn't end like that. Dave?
Alan, they got a tape patch on the right front quarter panel of Matt's race car. Matt said the steering is straight, and then crew chief Kevin Kidd asked his car chief, Leo Thorson, he said, give me a thumbs up. Are we raceable? The thumb went up. AB?
Okay. Matt's back in 35th from third place.
I remember Kurt Busch in 2012, too. He took a car that was torn up just about as bad, if not worse, than Matt Kenseth and won the race. So it's not over for Matt.
Jamie Dick, 55, is the leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 88, is second alongside of him. They did not pit under this caution flag. Didn't take long for Kyle to jump up behind Jr., did it?
No. Well, it's Sadler jumping down in there now, into that third spot.
My favorite saying, the politics of the draft. Kyle was going to go with the experienced guy over the youngster.
This racing's so difficult, and that's why you do it. You tend to know tendencies of drivers and what to expect from them, and that's what you want to be around more times than not. Sometimes you have no choice but to be around some, and in some situations you don't really want to be.
Yeah, a lot of times I see these experienced Cup drivers shuffle these young drivers out of the way. People they don't really know. It's almost like they have a strategy to do that, just to get them back out of the way and get to the front.
I can assure you, as a young driver, you think that you're being taken advantage of all the time, but that's how you learn. You keep doing good things throughout the day, though, you'll gain some of their confidence.
First side-by-side for 5th place, 31, Dylan Kwasniewski, who started on the pole. Outside of him, trying to dig a little bit, is James Buescher in the 99 car. Mike Bliss, 19.
A big thing to watch here early on. We talk about the youth and the inexperience that we have here, and just watching them and how they handle situations and keep themselves out of bad situations here early on, kind of get their nerves calmed down, and then they'll get themselves in a position that later on in the race they can actually go race and maybe really make something happen.
I've been impressed so far. I know we're early on, but these young drivers have done a good job. They don't look squirrely out there. They don't look like they're out of control by no means. So far so good.
So Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading, Kyle Busch running second.
I got a bunch of oil on my windshield. I think it's number 55 under yellow.
Yeah, it'd almost have to be, because he had been leading the race earlier, so it wouldn't have been from that. It had to be who he was following under caution.
And I can tell you, as a driver, that's no fun whatsoever. Whenever that starts, you don't have enough vision as it is, you feel like sometimes. And whenever you get that oil on there, then that oil creates you getting dust and dirt and other things that come about in running close to 200 miles an hour here. And then your vision really does get clouded.
How much do you really need to see, though?
Well, sometimes you don't want to see it. Most of the part, you really want to be able to look out that windshield. And just having another distraction is not what you need around here.
Wow, Brian Scott in the 2 got pinched to the outside, had to check up a little bit there. Look at the traffic jam here.
Yeah, I watched Brian Scott a couple of times trying to make something happen up next to the wall, come down the back straightaway. He's not been able to organize a group to help him, though. Like I say, he must have got squeezed there.
Well, that car's moving around. It's almost like he may feel like that he's got a tire going down or something.
He's all the way to the back of this draft now.
Brian running up in the top 10 earlier. We'll follow up on that.
It looks like Brian Scott's able to hang on to the back.
6, Trevor Bayne. Sticking the nose out 3 wide, trying to rumble his way toward the front. Bayne started back in 31st place.
That's
That's almost like a chance you take, Dale. You jump up on the outside, you think you're going to get cars to go with you, but if they don't, they're going straight back.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, is that what he was doing, was wanting to get out of that and back, because it's so difficult to move forward. When you've got two lines like that, we saw it in the truck race last night, but there's really nowhere to go. So was he expecting someone to go, or did he say, okay, let's just hang out here for a while?
I guess you can pass both ways, right? You can go to the back as easy as
That's right.
the front.
Let's check in on Brian Scott with Dave.
When I was talking with Brian this morning in his hauler, Richard Childress stopped in, the car owner, and he asked Brian about today and what the plan was going to be. Brian's answer was to the "we will be smart" effect. If we get put to the back, we'll stay back there and ride for a while. And Richard probably knew the answer. He probably would have told his driver what he wanted him to do, but he wanted him to play it safe at the beginning, and he nodded in approval.
All right, Dave, so we're watching Brian and we're watching Trevor Bayne there, right? Went to the outside a lap ago, fell back, went to the outside again. Is he experimenting here for what his car can do later in the race?
I think he's experimenting some, but I think when he pulled out, now with what Andy said, he was kind of pulling out to move forward, and nobody went with him, so he was hung out. And when you're hung out like that, it's like having 50 less horsepower than everyone else. So he's trying to go forward. Now he's got Brian Scott, who was back there. They're making their way back to the front.
Yeah, you see Mike Wallace now tagged in on the back of that. Also, Dakota Armstrong in the 43. They might get a little organized outside lane going. Mike Wallace bailed out, though.
Yeah, you just have to stay with it. You can't just say, okay, we're not going anywhere. It takes lap after lap after lap, and that's where some of that patience comes in. But you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position up there.
Speaking of recovering from problems, Bayne going to the back and trying to charge forward. Remember, Matt Kenseth had the problem on the pit stop, 3rd to 35th. He's up to 9th.
There's just nobody better at this type of racing now than what Matt Kenseth is. He's shown us over the last few years. Of course, a couple of Daytona 500s. We've seen him win at Talladega. He's just incredible at this plate racing and knowing what to do and how to use the draft to his advantage.
He also won here in July, the last time these cars were here.
Pushed by James Buescher, free on the last restart and scored the win. Just past 50 miles complete, up 300 scheduled today here at Daytona International Speedway. Daytona Beach, the birthplace of speed, the old Streamline Hotel where NASCAR was formed. And here at Daytona International Speedway, where they've been racing since 1959, the action is fast and at times furious. And today for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, pretty clean so far. Just one caution through the first 25 laps of today's Drive for COPD 300. Invite you to check out NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Invite you to check out who's at the front of this race. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 6-time winner in the Nationwide Series here, out in front, did not pit under the only caution of the race when a lot of those trailing him did. With the containment seats the drivers have these days, the suspension and so on, and at Daytona where you're the leader, your foot's just on the gas, it makes it look so easy. I think that's one of the hardest things to probably translate to the people at home, right? He's in there just riding. Well, no.
Yeah, it makes it look relatively simple, like anybody could do it, but there is a lot going on. If you see their eyes and know what they're thinking and trying to make all of this happen, so it is a lot more difficult. When you're leading like this right here, your biggest thing is just stay around the bottom, and you should be in pretty good shape. Don't make a mistake there. So it is relatively easy, but business will pick up before this day's over.
So we talk about a lot of the young drivers in the race today. Got Dylan Kwasniewski, the youngster from Las Vegas, running 5th in line in that 31 car. Now you see the double wide line behind him. Kwasniewski's spotter, Eddie DeHaan, trying to teach the youngster a lesson here on what's going on in the air around him in the Daytona draft.
See what's happening in front of you. You see Kyle bumping out? He's doing that to disturb the air on the nose of Busch's car on the top. That's what makes it hard for the top lane to move past you. Just trying to teach you. You see why he's doing it. Still there.
Yeah, Eddie DeHaan's one of the best at this. Eddie used to drive. He also spotted for me. He knows he's one of those spotters that's more than just watching. He understands driving of the race car, and he understands the aerodynamics of this, and that's great information for that young man.
Update on the pole sitter running in 5th place from Jamie.
And one of the products of never running at this level of racing yet for Dylan Kwasniewski is the fact that he's never had to rely on his mirrors to watch what's going on behind him at a racetrack. And he's also never had to really rely on his spotters so much. He said, 2 things I know I need to do here. I need to learn to trust that spotter, listen to what he's telling me, and I know he'll get me through to the end of the day.
Well, he certainly has a good one to trust.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job there, sitting in there so far. And how about that Jamie Dick in front of him, staying up here inside the top 5? We saw him qualify well, having a good run here.
'70 car Derek Cope that the field is moving around fairly without complication. Derek, the former Daytona 500 winner. DJ, you mentioned Jamie Dick in that 55 car. He, along with Junior, didn't pit under that first caution.
So Kyle Larson at 42, he's kind of side drafting that inside lane, trying to get just a little advantage. See if they can make that outside lane move forward. It's been kind of stalled about where it is right now.
These cars are just so evenly matched these days, it's just making it difficult. And what you're going to have to do is use that side draft. I like to use it myself on the straightaways. Get over against the quarter panel. You slow the momentum of that car just a little bit. I didn't like to do it as much in the corners personally because you're taking a real chance of getting down there on that quarter panel, of getting that car really, really loose and creating a problem that you may not be able to get out of.
So for those of us that don't know what it feels like to be out here in the draft at Daytona, how does the side draft work? What is it you're doing?
Yeah, you're getting over on the quarter panel of that car. Whether you're on the inside or the outside, you can make it work both ways, but it stalls that car out by getting the air in that pocket of air. And literally, there are times that it slows you down so much, you look down to see if your gauges are still up. It's almost like you've cut the engine off.
Yeah, it's almost like if you look at the front of that car and you can see the air, it's a big wake. It's pushing a big wake around the front of it. And you push that wake over on the side and on the spoiler of the car if you get right up on that right rear corner. So it adds a lot of drag to that car on the inside, slows him down a little bit, and it kind of puts you in the wake of him, where he doesn't have any air on the side of his car.
And when you're in that position, there's nothing you can do. You try to get away, but you're down on the yellow line already, so there's nowhere that you can go, and the driver is really in control of that. we see Ty Dillon now decide to go to the outside and see if he can try to move forward. He got tired of riding long. He wants to do some racing.
80 is Johnny Sauter to his inside. 44, Blake Cook. And we talked about Ty Dillon taking over this 3-car with the team that won the Nationwide Series Drivers' Championship a year ago. Danny Stockman, the crew chief, and company that won the championship with brother Austin, now helping to steer Ty as he begins a campaign for the Nationwide Series title. 7th and 8th place there, trying to advance. Quarter of the distance complete at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads. Ty Dillon trying to lead a charge in the outside lane. Tonight, one of the most anticipated rematches of the season on ESPN. Jabari Parker and the Blue Devils look to even the score when they get another crack at CJ Fair and the Orange. Then at 9, a Pac-12 showdown. Aaron Gordon and the Wildcats face the Buffaloes. Saturday primetime, presented by DirecTV, both games live on Watch ESPN. That Duke-Syracuse game a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
A couple weeks ago was fabulous.
Yeah, both those games should be good tonight.
Yep.
Give me something to do. Watch college basketball.
Going to get exciting now as Dale Earnhardt Jr. pulls the lead group up to a draft of 5 cars, about to be put a lap down.
Yeah, the first 7 or 8 are going to be okay here, but when it starts getting too wide and you come up on this, that could be trouble.
And you start getting into the banking. Okay, exhale.
They did a nice job of maneuvering through all of that, especially I was watching some of the younger drivers. We were riding along, saw a little bit there with Chase Elliott. He did a nice job not pushing the issue too much, not time to do that, gave plenty of room at that point.
Jamie Dick bailing on a line, going to come to pit road. Remember, he was one of 2 that did not pit under the only caution of the race. The other one is Dale Earnhardt Jr., the race leader. Doc, when are we going to see Jr. on the pit lane?
Well, they are getting excellent fuel mileage with this Hendrick engine. They actually could go 45 laps, maybe 46. They're going to bring him in on lap 43. So 3 laps from now, they're going to bring him down pit road. Tires are not a factor, but Ernie Cope said we're going to put 2 cans of fuel in it. Let's go ahead and put 4 fresh Goodyears on it. So they'll come in 3 more laps.
It takes just about as much time to put gas in it as it does to get 4 tires, so that's a good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, then under a caution later on, something you have those tires so you don't have to take the time then.
Might be able to go up to about 4 or 5 more laps before he'll have to be on pit road for fuel. We saw Jamie Dick in 55 already make his stop. He stayed out with Junior under that first caution.
He'll be coming back in.
Yeah, it looked like he was a little quick coming to pit road.
Didn't quite get slowed down that first segment.
Speeding on pit road. Pass-through penalty for Jamie Dick in the 55.
Yeah, that's a tough break too because he was up front. He's been up front the entire first part of the race, and that penalty is going to hurt.
Started up front. Started in 7th.
Yeah.
So watching for Junior here, another lap from now when he would bail out of line and head to the pit lane.
Right, we'll pit next time by. 4 tires of fuel. Pit.
And of course, trick to that is no drafting partner to go with him because he's kind of by himself on a pit stop schedule here.
Yeah, this is probably going to hurt Junior quite a bit because he's going to be, 7, 8, 9 laps before the other cars have to make their stops, so he could be out there for a while by himself.
If you're Ernie Cope, are you asking for one of your team cars to pit a little early to help you, or does it matter?
Well, you can ask. I don't know if they'll come, but yeah, I mean that would be the ideal thing. But both cars are still in trouble because it still takes more than 2 cars to make the kind of speed that you're seeing this pack run.
So all the other teams behind him, Junior spotter communicating with them. He's pitting. You saw Kyle Busch give plenty away, and somebody is coming with him.
It's like Joe Nemechek.
If they can get hooked up, that'll be 2's better than 1 for sure.
Here he is, Doc.
Going to be 4 tires. You heard earlier Ernie Cope making the call. Go ahead and put 4 Goodyears on it. As DJ said, then later on you don't have to do anything. No adjustments. Going to get it completely full of Sunoco fuel. This is the 88 Sprint Cup pit crew pitting the 88 Nationwide car today. Left side tires going on, left front, left rear, waiting on left front lug nuts, getting it full of fuel, and he's away 19.6. A little slow, guys.
Yeah, long stop, Doc. They made an adjustment on it, did something to the right front. And if they were going to do that, I think it would have been better served to just get 2 tires instead of getting the 4 because they're going to lose a lot of time with that slow 4-tire stop.
Didn't stay with Joe Nemechek. Now he's going to get lapped. And he's not really even going to be up to speed to fall in with the pack.
He's going to be at the back of the pack before he's fully up to speed.
If they were going to make that,
going to get lapped too.
If they were going to make that adjustment, I would have just went with the right sides only, and then that way, as soon as he got full of fuel, go, and you're not giving up a lot of time. But they gave up 4 or 5, at least 5 seconds there. That's a lot of distance on this track.
So what Dale Jr. needs is for the race to stay green through everybody else having to make a green flag pit stop. Then he can get back in sequence with him.
He can be in there, but he's not going to like his position even whenever that rolls around probably.
And the other tough part for Junior, he's not even the first car lap down, so if the caution were to come out, he'd have to take a wave around to get back on the lead lap right now and then not be able to top off the fuel and so on. So a little dicey here in this stretch of the race for Junior, Doc.
Indeed it is, and we can update what happened. I talked to the tire changer. This shock package keeps the right front tire sucked up in the fender well. The front tire changer said I had to pull the tire down, pull on the shock just to get the right front tire off. We didn't expect that. He said that's what cost us extra time. Now, watch the right front tire changer now. You see the tire is still up in the fender well. He's trying to pull and pull and pull to get it down out of the fender well. That cost him about 3.5 seconds, and the tire was still there. So that's 5 extra seconds. It cost him a lot of time on the racetrack.
Yeah, that now you can see what happened. It's worth a little bit of speed to have that extra rebound in these shocks and not have much bleed down before these tires drop out. But you can see it comes with a penalty.
Yeah, give that front tire changer credit for even getting it done that quickly.
Past 100 miles at Daytona, the drive for COPD 300. Kyle Busch, the race leader at this point. Another round of green flag stops coming up.
Race 1 of the season at Daytona. Now 70 laps to go with Kyle Busch out front, but a couple of experienced drivers having trouble on pit road in the Ram race rundown. This is Matt Kenseth, contact on pit road, lap 11.
Yeah, he just misjudged. His pit crew member told him to go when he wasn't clear, and he pulls out. He hits Chad Boat right in the left rear quarter panel, caves in the right front fender. They got it fixed. He's back up to 19th now.
Looks like the same thing with Dale Earnhardt Jr. who actually missed pit road, had to come back down. That right front tire got jammed up a little bit, had a problem getting that thing off. Cost him a lot of time.
Kyle Busch out front.
I tell you, that's not a surprise. But what is
Was waiting for that.
good surprise for me is these rookies. I mean, these rookies are doing fantastic. I mean, just doing a good job keeping herself out of trouble. You see Ty Dillon up there in fourth, Cal Larson
Kwasniewski in third.
They're all looking great.
Yeah.
Kwasniewski in third.
All of them are doing a really good job. And Kyle did a great job last night in the Truck Series. Learned a lot for today's race, and he's implementing it right now.
This is Daytona. There are 69 laps to go. A lot can happen, Alan.
And will, Nicole, that's for sure. As we watch Kyle Busch continue to lead. Summary of the race, basically. Kyle led the opening going. When he pitted at lap 11 and all the other front runners, Dale Jr. stayed out, led until he had to pit. Kyle's led since. Now we're beginning to come up on the window for green flag pit stops for most of the pack. First to make the move in is Kyle Larson in the 42. He was running in 5th at the time. Matt Kenseth also in, Dave.
And this won't be enough time for them to do what they really want to do, I don't believe, which is put a patch on the right front. But they did make one up just in case. They're going to change right side tires and fill them full of Sunoco fuel. Vince?
The 22 of Brad Keselowski's been running deep in the pack. Things have gone smoothly, says the car was good, needed 4 tires, and they got him with Sunoco fuel.
That was a long stop for the 20.
Yeah, look like almost the same thing we saw with Dale Jr. He was having trouble with the right front, getting it off and back on. At that point, I swear, I believe I would have just called an audible and said, just go with right sides instead of losing all that time. Here comes another group.
Look out. Get down to that pit road speed limit. Everybody looks like they made it, Dave.
The 3 car, he's very happy with the way the car is handling. He was also happy with the high line when he tried it earlier, even though spotter Billy O'Day didn't want him to be up there. So he thinks maybe he'll have a place to race later. 4 tires for Ty Dillon. Vince?
Everything has gone smoothly for Elliott Sadler. He's been running in the top 2 or 3 all day long. 4 tires, clean the grill, and Sunoco fuel, and cleaning away.
And Kyle Busch in for 4, been really happy with the car. He has been in a great mood all day after winning that Truck Series race last night. As he peels out the 31, Dylan Kwasniewski in the number 1 pit box having an issue. Remember, first race, first time taking 4 tires. They took extra time to make sure they got it in there, talking his driver through his first round of pit stops, guys.
Too fast on pit road. Ryan Reed. Pass-through penalty coming up for the 16.
The Elliott Sadler, who had been running second, has lost a spot there to Ty Dillon on that, but he had to avoid the 85 car that was coming in. Elliott did a nice job of not making contact and create another issue for him.
So the pack breaks up with the couple of different laps of green flag pit stops. Now we wait and see as the draft reforms. Right now that is Kyle Larson, 42, right here just ahead of Kyle Busch, Ty Dillon, and Elliott Sadler.
To see just where Dale Jr. would blend in with these cars after they made their pit stops. It looks like he's going to be well behind this group.
Yeah, and by himself. Chase Elliott, he did a nice job on that pit stop, keeping himself right there with everyone, the lead group.
So you got Kyle Busch now leading. That's Ty Dillon in second, Elliott Sadler third in the 11, 9 is Chase Elliott fourth, and Johnny Sauter in that 80, running in 5th place. Getting aggressive coming to pit road, Ty Dillon in the 3.
Yeah, this is where he made up his time.
Wow, that was an aggressive move to the entrance. Gets it slowed down too.
Dillon up to second, Dave.
Alan, he is a confident young driver, and this team is very confident. When I talked to his crew chief, Danny Stockman, this morning, he didn't want to talk about this first year together. He wanted to talk about a 2nd championship in a row. They believe they can do it. They believe they've got the equipment, and this aggressive driving early on the pit road gives you an example of what Ty Dillon is capable of.
Now Ty running second. By the way, another speeding penalty on that set of pit stops. David Starr will have to come back in the 10 car. So here's a look at how they've come after the pack has reformed off the pit stops. Front 5 there, mentioned it. Busch, Dillon, Sadler, Elliott, and Sauter. Then you've got Regan Smith, Brendan Gaughan, James Buescher, Brad Keselowski. That second group of 4. Kyle Larson is lined up now in 10th spot after being overtaken by this group. Brian Scott, Ryan Sieg, Mike Bliss, Blake Cook. Here's Danica passing Sieg. That's back for 14th place.
Give her a heads up. She had a flat right rear. Flat right. She had a flat right rear. 10-4, flat right rear.
Huh.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know if that happens as they're coming to pit road or whether it was out there running on the racetrack like that.
Yeah, it's a good possibility. I mean, there's stuff that doesn't get cleaned up. Sometimes we saw a blown engine earlier right there at the opening to pit road, so it could have been something from that. But good timing, whatever it was.
So Danica back in 14th. Trevor Bayne is 15th. Matt Kenseth is 16th. As you look at the scoring come across the top of your screen, eventually we'll get to Dale Earnhardt Jr., who after that pitting off schedule and the long pit stop because of the right front being stuck up under the fender with that shock setting, finds himself way back there.
Now, the bad news for Junior, he's 2 seconds a lap slower than the leaders running in that pack. He really needs somebody to draft with.
He's for caution. He's almost 15 seconds off the lead and counting. So Junior 20th out of 28 cars that are on the lead lap, only 3 in the garage. Jeff Green out early. Harrison Rhodes had the engine failure back at lap number 9. And Robert Richardson Jr. has also gone to the garage with mechanical troubles. Kyle Busch leading Ty Dillon.
We're all going to work together here, bud. We're going to get out of this thing. We're going to get way ahead of these guys. He's pushing you. I don't know why. Chill out, 11. Let's just ride. Catch another slow one here. I don't know why the 54 is making such erratic moves. All we can do is drive around him.
I don't know. Maybe I'd follow him for a little longer.
Yeah, last I checked, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I think he does.
Usually has a pretty good car, too.
Yes.
Well, Kyle Busch is leading. And next time he crosses the finish line, we'll be halfway home. 150 miles down and 150 to go at Daytona International Speedway. Into the second half of the drive for COPD 300 at Daytona International Speedway. Check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy and catch enhanced action today live from the World Center of Racing. Getting a little interesting in this lead pack as Kyle Busch continues to be out in front and leads them around. You see 3 wide here as Regan Smith tried to jump in front of a line that was advancing in the outside lane. James Buescher in the 99 was leading a draft. Smith jumped in front of them. Then they came up on some lap cars. Got a little bit tense for a moment.
Has that. Still just haven't been able to see that outside make a move whenever, even with some help, they haven't been able to make it. Brad Keselowski and that group tried to go and make something happen, but just couldn't get enough steam at the moment. Buescher did in that 99, did a nice job though of pulling that second group up to that front pack.
See Ryan Reed there in the 16 going a lap down after the pit road speeding penalty from earlier. He's in 26th place, first car a lap down now. So while Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. have led almost all of the laps today, one of our storylines today, young drivers without a lot of Daytona experience and how they would fare in the draft. The story is pretty well so far. We go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and start with Dave.
And a further discussion of Ty Dillon's ability and aggressiveness today, starting today for the 2014 season, is a leftover from older brother Austin. He said last year when they ran at a cautious pace, good things didn't happen. Austin would say, let's not be overprotective, and that's what Ty is putting to good use today, and the team believes. Behind him, the 9 car of Chase Elliott, another one of these drivers. Very young, very inexperienced, but very, very good. Early on, Chase said, I made a rookie mistake, I got out of line, but you can see he's worked his way back up to the front and is in contention at the front of this field. Doc?
And back behind him, an 8th spot, 23-year-old James Buescher. Yeah, he's that young, but 2 years ago, he won this race by leading the final 200 yards. Buescher says the car is bouncing on the splitter. The splitter is dragging. It's getting tighter and tighter. They told him, don't worry about it, try to stay put and ride. We will get it fixed. Right now, he is 8th. He was 6th 2 laps ago. Jamie.
Dylan Kwasniewski now has shuffled back to 14th, the deepest he's been. And what had happened on that last pit stop, he had to avoid a car exiting his pit box, so Dylan locked it up. All 4 tires slid through his box, and that cost them quite a bit of time. So they opted to take right sides only, so they've had the same left sides on all race long. But this was on the radio afterwards with his spotter.
You just stay glued to Matt Kenseth. You go wherever he goes. Even if he goes for a hamburger, you go with him.
So that's Eddie DeHaan keeping things light, Alan, because you can imagine the pressure that 18-year-old is feeling inside that cockpit.
And Matt has enough of a sense of humor that if he heard that, he might go try and find a hamburger to stop for.
I tell you, it's been impressive to watch these young men here today and the job that they're doing so far. And still got a lot of racing to do, but they haven't done crazy things, and they're starting to earn the respect of some of these guys and realizing they have fast cars. They'll get the help that they need.
Just an update, too, on that 20 car. Weren't with us earlier. Matt had a long pit stop under green at lap 52. They had trouble, just like Dale Jr., getting that right front out from under the car. He also had the contact on pit road back at lap 11 that kicked him from 3rd to 35th. And here he is back up again in 13th place. You see kind of the bandages flapping just a little bit off the right front corner of that 20 car in the 190-mile-an-hour breeze. Kyle Busch leading. What has been a fairly clean race at Daytona so far, knock on wood. We have just gone under caution here at Daytona for just the second time of the race. Some of those foam pyramids that provide the safety cushioning and the safer barrier have been knocked over in turn number 2 and need to be repaired to properly be in their place in case there's an incident in that part of the track. Gives everybody a chance to catch their breath and get a pit stop under the yellow flag, with Kyle Busch leading the field down the pit lane. Dave?
Chase Elliott did a lot of pit stop practicing during practice this week. He hits his marks perfectly. They'll take left side tires this time and Sunoco fuel. As for Ty Dillon, he'll just get fuel on this stop. Vince?
Tires and a chassis adjustment to snug up Elliott Sadler. Right sides and a chassis adjustment. Jamie?
And the 54 of Kyle Busch, as you can imagine, he's been thrilled with this car. Right side tires only for the 54.
And our Wicked Tuna race off pit road. Things got a little fishy there for a couple of those people on the pit lane.
That's a good one.
Don't try this at home. Chad Boat gets the free pass, repairs to the safer barrier, the cause of the second caution today here at Daytona. Well, while we work the caution, there we go at Daytona. Reminder that the CarQuest Auto Parts NHRA Nationals qualifying can be seen late night tonight on ESPN2. Then the Sports Center at the Daytona 500 Special comes your way tomorrow, presented by Goodyear at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Full hour from here at the World Center of Racing, part of our full day's coverage. CarQuest Auto Parts NHRA Nationals final eliminations, 8 Eastern on ESPN2. And then next Saturday, race 2 for the Nationwide Series is at Phoenix International Raceway on the Mile in the Desert on ABC at 3:30 Eastern Time next weekend. At caution, a big break for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He was 29 seconds behind the leaders. The caution allowed him to close the gap. Now they've topped off the fuel with 46 laps to go.
Yeah, that's the second time they've done that. They did it the last time with 47 to go and now back in again. Tells me that they think they can stretch this tank of fuel maybe 46 laps.
Remember, Jr. off sequence, not pitting under the first caution at lap 11 when everybody else did. He had to pit under the green, got out of sequence, got out of the pack, and fell way back, Doc.
Indeed he did, but that's exactly what you were saying a moment ago. They believe that by topping off twice and getting completely full of fuel, that they can make it the rest of the way. Also, they don't believe we're going to go caution-free, and they should be okay on fuel. They also know that several of those faster Toyotas toward the front may be as many as 5 laps short on fuel. It wouldn't do them any good to top off. That's why Junior came in and topped off. If they have to pit with 5 to go, it's his race, he thinks.
Can hear him shutting it off, saving gas. Now, the other story under this caution, Ty Dillon, who we saw leaving pit road with the race lead, isn't the leader anymore. Speeding, exiting the pit lane, and Ty is back in 21st place.
Yeah, he was pretty aggressive on that green flag stop when he came in, getting to pit road. Looks like he was a little too aggressive on the exit that time.
Yeah, especially you get a little excited to see that you're probably going to have that opportunity to get out first, and you may not pay attention to what you need to be paying attention to.
So, wave arounds. Ryan Reed took a wave around to get back on the lead lap. And the 29 of Scott Lagasse took a wave around to get back on the lead lap. That's going to give us 26 cars with 45 laps to go. And Kyle Busch leading them back to the green in that 54.
I think probably Kyle chose that outside, working with his teammate Elliott Sadler, that would let Kyle get down in front. That way Elliott wouldn't have to start on the outside, and they could continue to work together.
A little bumping going on here between Brad Keselowski and Regan Smith.
I've not seen
a lot.
I was just going to say, haven't seen anybody called yet for the push drafting that NASCAR outlawed for the Nationwide Series here at Daytona. Brad Keselowski and Regan Smith bumping their way to the lead. Daylight between the bumpers. That's what NASCAR said they wanted to see. And here comes Dale Jr. on that outside lane, 3 wide. Regan Smith to the top spot.
Well, Junior's got a good run with Nemechek on the rear bumper coming up on that outside.
This is the time you can make that work when those guys are up there battling for the lead. They're down, side drafting each other and everything, so that front's not going as fast as what it was originally, and you can make some time for a little while.
Now Brad Keselowski, 22, leading a charge in the outside lane. James Buescher behind him in the 99.
Regan Smith, one of those drivers that we talk about, always finds himself at the front of these packs towards the end of these races on the restrictor plate tracks.
Leading on the last lap here at Daytona, this race a year ago, right about there, when he and Brad Keselowski had contact and started that big crash, won the race at Talladega a year ago for this Nationwide Series.
And we've seen all these young drivers do a good job up to this point. At what point, Dale, does the intensity start picking up and the sense of urgency for the end of the race?
Yeah, I don't think that it'll be that much for the young drivers. It's the others that really feel like they have that opportunity to win, that they might need to start pushing a little bit, and that could get the younger guys in trouble, having not been in that situation before.
Well, Buescher gives about 3 good bumps to Brad Keselowski.
Brendan Gaughan right there in the 62.
Tell you what, I'm impressed watching these drivers do this. They're laying on there just a little bit. You see the bumping, but they're also doing just a little bit of pushing, but not pushing the envelope to make NASCAR get in and weigh on the situation.
NASCAR said that in making this mandate, basically the team said, you outlaw it, we'll support you, but NASCAR knew they were taking on a very difficult task of having to be referee, like the referee in the defensive backfield in the Super Bowl when the game's close in the fourth quarter, having to decide what's a penalty and what's not. It's tough. They know they put themselves in position of perhaps being criticized by fans of a particular driver if they make that call or don't make that call. but that's what the referee has to do.
Yeah, they have to do that. And the owners really wanted this because other solutions were going to cost them a lot of money to make those changes, to keep these cars separated and make the racing really what the fans want to see. But it does put NASCAR in that position, and what NASCAR's telling the drivers, don't put us there to make that call.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of telling drivers how to drive. I can see both sides of this because I've been an owner. I know what it takes to make rule changes and try to change the way that these cars race. So, you know, I can go both sides. I just really don't want to see NASCAR have to get in the middle of making a call at the end of this thing, and it might happen because you can see, man, it's going to be wild when they come to the finish.
Tight and tense up front. 7 Regan Smith with Kyle Busch 54. Behind him, Brad Keselowski 22 in the outside lane with James Buescher 99 in behind him in the draft. 26 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth is last on the lead lap. Junior's outside run when he tried to go 3 wide, stalled out. He's back to 23rd.
Comes. But he gets off of him right there.
And Keselowski gets up to the outside of Regan Smith for the lead.
You know, there's an art to doing that too. You can hit that driver a lot harder and send him way on out there, but then you're defeating the whole purpose of the thing. The closer you can stay, the more the draft is effective there. And these drivers are doing a terrific job in making this work.
Smith led that lap by a half a fender. Talked about the art. What are you doing? Are you backing off the gas? Are you tapping the brake? What are you doing to just bump him instead of drive him?
Yeah, and different drivers will do different things. Those are two things, Alan. You can either do it by backing off the throttle, or if you want to drag the brake just a little bit, that'll slow your momentum down just a little bit too. Kyle Busch right there, I think he's probably pushing the issue just a little bit. The NASCAR, especially being right at the front of the pack, but he's off of him.
Yeah, but he's so close that sometimes you can't see that gap. And if they can't see a gap, they're going to make the call.
NASCAR has a very sophisticated replay system in its booth. They've got all kind of camera angles, and they said they will use it to look at and review situations that they might get in like that. Said just because you see it from one angle on the television doesn't mean that's actually what it looks like from another angle.
Yeah, and some drivers like Kyle Busch can do this so well. They can put that bumper within an inch of the guy in front of him, and sometimes you can't tell the difference between an inch and nothing. So.
Yeah, a lot of this goes back to the type of racing that we did in the 90s, early 2000s, but we couldn't get there and push for very long because our cooling systems weren't sophisticated enough to allow us to do that. So there was a lot more drafting in this type of way. Now they can do that, but they're telling them they need to go back and draft in the old ways, and the drivers are doing a terrific job with it so far.
That outside lane led by Brad Keselowski went from being alongside Regan Smith for the lead to being back alongside Mike Bliss for 8th and 9th places. Smith out in front at Daytona. Some great racing today here in Daytona, some great basketball tonight. One of the most anticipated rematches of the season on ESPN. Jabari Parker and the Duke Blue Devils looking to even the score against CJ Fair and the Syracuse Orange. Then at 9, a great Pac-12 showdown. Aaron Gordon and the Arizona Wildcats facing the Colorado Buffalo. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. Both games live on Watch ESPN. That's tonight starting at 7. Got a few interesting things going on here at Daytona as we get down to 33 laps to go. We've got some cars on a fuel mileage run. We've got one that's going to be the first penalty of the day for push drafting. That's that 99 car for James Busher. And we've got drivers trying to figure out where the envelope is as we get closer to the finish. First, here's the penalty.
Well, these two cars were on the outside lane, and they saw Regan Smith and Kyle Busch doing this very same thing. I mean, I can't tell a lot of difference here. It's difficult for me to see right there if there was any gap between the bumpers.
A lot of these guys haven't done this before.
There's a bump. There's definitely a gap there.
On you. Off you. He's off. Tight. On you. On you to left as well. 6-9. On you. On you. On you. Off.
That's a tough one.
Now, this is where we said, what's pass interference and what isn't? What's push drafting and what's bumping? That's where it was going to get dicey, and NASCAR knew that. And this is the first penalty that was called today.
I never locked bumpers. There's a camera on that 22 car. I never locked bumpers. Nobody up here saw it either, so okay.
Well, it goes back to what I said. If NASCAR can't see the gap, even if there is one, the penalty can still come. And that's what I was worried about when I saw Kyle Busch. He was pushing on Regan Smith, and they were lucky enough to be on the inside where you could actually see the gap. With these cars on the outside and being blocked by some of the other cars, you couldn't tell.
So James Busher back to 26th place, 30 seconds behind the leaders after the pass-through penalty. A caution gets him right back into it. Chris Rice pleading his case.
Well, I think he has a case. The problem is, you've always said this, Dale, you don't want to put yourself in a position to make them make a call, and that's what they did.
Yeah, that's what you can't do as a driver, and you knew the rules coming in that you had to be careful. And I would have to agree with what I saw right there. That didn't seem like that it should be, but again, don't put them in that position. You just can't do that.
And drivers are trying to, they know pushing is an advantage. They're trying to figure out what they can get away with as we get closer to the finish. Just before the Busher penalty, we caught this on Elliott Sadler's radio.
Yeah, I had the relief cowl on the back. I didn't want him to think I was tandem. I pushed him through 1 and 2. Then when I released him, we lost the momentum. But if they're letting people do it, maybe I need to do something different. Be smart. We got a long ways to go, but it is not right.
Message delivered to the field?
I would think, and they probably told Elliott that very thing, that the 99 got a penalty by doing that, and so you're going to have to be careful. And Elliott's doing the right thing. He's got a season-long championship battle that he's doing. He wants to win badly here at Daytona, but you can't put yourself in that position to get in trouble, especially at this point in time.
So Brad Keselowski's been kind of hung as the first car in that outside lane for a while, anywhere from being up alongside the leader Regan Smith to being back alongside the 10th place car. For now, they're hanging right there, lap car ahead, and have not shown the ability. They've shown the ability to get even with, but not get by that front row.
He's showing staying power. He's staying out there, but he just can't quite make up the ground. You see that actually losing some ground at that point.
Yeah, he lost a little bit more than that. He's making his way back a little bit, but to me, if you're going to run a tandem deal, it takes both drivers and cars to make that really work. So, should the driver in front, we got a caution out.
Caution for debris back straightaway, which will change a lot of things around, because while all this was going on, there were some drivers on a fuel mileage run also. We mentioned Dale Earnhardt Jr. topping off the fuel at the end of the last caution. We saw Ty Dillon back there after his speeding penalty, showing signs that he might be.
Well, they can all make it from here, so you'll see all of them top off and probably even see Junior come back down pit road and get fuel.
I think this is an opportunity for him to stay out. He's got nothing to lose. He's here to win this race or nothing else.
Well, that's true, but if you're that close on fuel, you got a chance to take care of that right now.
But can you draft your way back up? We've seen how difficult it is to make moves and get to the front. I'm thinking if they made that choice to do that and he was saving any fuel there whatsoever, he's got some caution laps here, this is his opportunity to get back to the front.
Well, the other side of that is he needs less fuel than the other guys. He can make a shorter stop and make up some ground on this stop if he wants to come in.
Dale Jr. at 18th
I'd like to
place.
be safe.
Yeah, I guess you got to plan for that potential of a green-white checker finish, too, a little overtime racing. We know how hairy the end of these things get at Daytona.
I'd bring him in, get a shot, hope I can make up about 5 or 6 spots, and then let Junior do the rest.
You're the champion crew chief. I disagree with you. I'd find a way to get him in front of the pack because it's going to get wild after this next restart.
I see him cutting it off right there. That tells me that he's not planning on coming to pit road.
And when he was out front earlier, they weren't going by him. Now, it was early, I know, but I'd rather have the mess behind me.
Well, there's an argument for both sides.
And we just argued it out. Matt Kenseth, another one that was kind of dawdling around there near the back, who had made a pit stop a lap later, an extra pit stop, than everybody else on that last caution. See what he does here.
I think the 3 car's the one in that situation that you might have to bring down because he is racing a full season here and racing possibly for a championship, and not sure they can take that chance.
You hear Matt shutting the car off also under the caution. Pit road's open. Isn't this interesting?
Yes, it is. There's some other cars. I mean, Kyle Busch, Regan Smith, a bunch of cars stayed out.
9th place, Johnny Sauter was the first one to make a break for the pit lane. Blake Cook, Mike Bliss, Danica Patrick, Dylan Kwasniewski, Ryan Reed is in. James Busher also gets a big break to catch up under the yellow. Doc?
Here's Danica Patrick, 3 seconds of fuel, all she needs. They were about a lap and a half to 2 laps short. No changes, fuel only. Jamie.
Dylan Kwasniewski right there. The call was fuel only, no tires. That looked like a smooth stop. He's been adjusting to them all day long.
And the plot thickens. As the time to hand out the trophy draws closer. Regan Smith leading at Daytona, 26 laps to go. getting ready to double up for a restart in the frantic final laps here at Daytona International Speedway of the Drive for COPD 300, the season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Regan Smith leads. There are 27 cars on the lead lap, and our ESPN in-race reporter Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be 12th.
Hey, Dale Jarrett, get to talk for a minute?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, you've been up front, in the middle, and in the back today, lined up on the outside. Can you make that outside lane work to the front?
It ain't worked yet, so I don't know what we're going to do to try to pass the bottom groove. Those guys they got a monopoly on the lead up there on the bottom, but maybe we can get something going. I think it'll get, guys start making some moves. I don't know if they'll wait till the last lap and give everybody else a chance, but it might just come down to the front three guys there on the inside line.
Hey, did it surprise you that they didn't pit for fuel and you thought you might be at the front there?
We were about 3 laps short. I think they're expecting to gain a couple laps on this caution and maybe another caution.
All right, man, good luck. Thanks for talking.
4.
That's multitasking. Talking to us, saving fuel, getting ready for the restart. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 12th position. So Johnny Sauter was the first one who pitted. He came out of 9th place. He's in 13th. He was the first one off the pit lane. And Regan Smith, the race leader, maybe managing fuel to the finish, Jamie?
Yes, Alan, he's been doing that. He told his team he was about 70% throttle there for a handful of laps and felt like he saved enough fuel to be right there at the end, so he didn't want to give up that track position. Meanwhile, to the outside, the 54 Kyle Busch told his team that he was full throttle there, so he wasn't able to save any. They're worried they're going to be short, and they're praying for more cautions, Vince.
The 11 of Elliott Sadler was definitely debating whether to come or stay out. Remember, Drivers' Championship, #1 goal for this team. They say they're 1 lap to the good right now, but the last thing they want to do is run Elliott out of fuel. Doc?
And Kyle Larson's been told he was about a lap short prior to the caution coming out. They're going to be very close now. Said save some fuel. He said, I wasn't running full throttle anyway, so he'll save fuel, but going to be very close for the 42. Alan?
You think that the dance around these front runners is going to be interesting on this restart?
Oh, yeah, it sure is. See if Elliott Sadler lets Kyle Busch back down in front of him. I would think that he would want to. You haven't see it happening there so they can work together. I'm not sure with that explanation of what we heard there that we got the full truth, because the leader said he was running 70% and the guy behind him was running 100%. I don't know. That didn't. We'll see how it works out.
In the draft, that doesn't compute, huh?
Didn't, not to me.
It sounds like a lot of these teams are gambling on another caution, too, to save some fuel.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a big gamble.
It may not be. It's not out of the question.
It's not. Last green flag stretch, 7 laps or less in 16 of the last 18 Nationwide Series races at Daytona.
It seems to be very difficult to try to move up in this line, just like Dale Jr. was talking about. It's much more difficult than we've seen in the past, and I think that's why a lot of guys are trying to just do anything they can for track position, because they can't make it up on the racetrack.
Yeah, Chase Elliott's going to have to be careful right there. Looks like he was kind of locked on there for an extended time. He's back off of him right now.
Dicey, huh? You got a guy trying to maybe not run full throttle to save fuel, and you're not knowing that, or, bouncing off him.
And we just saw the other night in one of the duels the consequences of a car running out, coming to the checkered flag. Just what a mess it can create.
Jimmy Johnson. Oh, contact tri-oval. Ryan Sieg goes around.
There you go. There you go. You got it.
What a job by David Starr to miss him in that 10.
Nice job.
David Starr had his hands full for an extended period of time trying to avoid that.
He had radar lock and somehow managed to kick it off.
See the contact. Right here, look at David Starr. Doesn't know which way to go.
Now Ryan Sieg, as they came into the tri-oval, got a little bump. It turned him sideways, and he couldn't quite collect it.
That's right. Such a difficult place, and as things start picking up and drivers are trying to get positions and things, through the tri-oval, the cars get lighter. You got cars on both sides of you.
Ryan. That's Eric McClure in the 14.
Yeah, you can see the contact there that created that.
Yeah, now we can see it. I was looking at the wrong monitor a while ago, but yeah, now you see the contact. Right here's where David Starr does an incredible job.
You're right. That's just amazing. I mean, that's so hard to do, to turn these cars and not spin them out, or your initial reaction to lock up the brake, and then that just sends you sliding into it. Well, this could have been a huge accident with a lot of cars involved, but fortunate to get out of here.
Jamie Dick got some damage there on his right side door.
Whole lot of lucky people there.
That was an excellent job of driving by David Starr, though. Amazing.
Sieg, the 26-year-old, running full-time in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, planning a limited number of nationwide series starts this year, including here at Daytona.
And that could have been a situation to where his spotter told him that initially maybe he was clear right there to move down, but maybe hesitated just for a minute, and that momentum from the car getting a draft from behind created some contact.
We are getting some of those caution laps that some of the guys are counting on.
Certainly beneficial to those guys.
So one of the things that's happening right here is race control is admonishing the drivers via their spotters that they're supposed to be in a single file line and not lagging back and so on. Well, people all shutting the cars off, trying to save fuel, right? Making the run, shutting it off, coasting, so on.
And the one thing you do you have to keep up here. You can be passed if you're lagging back.
So does anybody come to the pit lane here at pit road open now with 20 laps to go?
Now, if they didn't the last time, they don't need to this time.
And they're not gonna. Well, caution out for just the 4th time in this race. Ryan Sieg turned out of traffic in the tri-oval, got away with it. at Daytona International Speedway, and has been a fairly quick-paced and fairly clean NASCAR Nationwide Series season opener, but we're under caution a couple of times in succession here. One for debris at lap 93, another for that Ryan Sieg spin at lap 99, and it set us up with what's going to be a 17-lap dash to the finish. With 28 cars on the lead lap and the tension growing, and that big thing still out there yet to happen that always happens in the late laps.
Yeah, these drivers are, they've been patient for much of the time, but they're starting to probably get a level of frustration knowing that outside doesn't work too well. So we're going to see the bumps get a little bit harder, trying to make some things happen, and could get interesting.
I'm shy about saying it because I always have fans pick on me, say you jinxed it, but look, the big wreck happens in the late laps when that trophy's getting closer. It hasn't happened yet today. The tension grows.
Definitely a frustration level out there. I've not been able to pass. It's been very difficult.
If you had that kind of power, Alan, it would probably be more for a 3-wide situation you'd be talking
yes,
about.
Sir.
Right?
Yeah. I'm sitting here saying photo finish coming up. Brad Keselowski in that 22 has been the guy leading that outside lane for a long time now and just not able to make progress toward the front. Brian Scott doing his best to try and bump him. Scott in the 2, Trevor Bayne in the 6, Ty Dillon, Dale Earnhardt Jr. also in that line. Mike Wallace trying to make something happen to that yellow 28.
Mike Wallace in a tight spot.
That's making it happen all right, for sure. We're going to see more of that as this moves on. Keselowski doing everything he can to make that outside line work. You see, he lost a partner. Brian Scott decided to jump down to the inside. He's got Trevor Bayne, former Daytona 500 winner, on his bumper now, trying to move him forward.
Matt Kenseth coming through, 20 car.
You just have to be careful as a driver as you're bumping. You want to do most of it on the straightaway and try to gain that speed to move forward in this. But you can't hit them too hard. If you send them out there too far, then you're just defeating the whole purpose of what you're trying to do. You can see Trevor Bayne trying to just get in a couple of shots and not let the 22 get too far in front of him to where they can get back as they can gain momentum off the corner and back to a straightaway to gain some more spots.
And all the while, Kyle Busch is doing it textbook on the rear bumper there of Regan Smith, and I think that's what's keeping this inside lane with the advantage. And Kyle Busch is right there. Every time I've looked, it's just like you can't hardly tell if there's a gap or not.
But he's leaving just enough. He gets that little bit of a push and stays there. That's the ultimate way for the drafting to work, to make those two cars go faster. It's just not get too far away, but not stay locked up. And you can see that's exactly what he's doing. And Regan appreciates this right now, but he's going to be so frustrated whenever Kyle does this all the way till it comes to turn 4. And Elliott Sadler pulls out with his teammate and Kyle Busch, and Kyle gets the checkered flag. Because I think Regan probably learned something about trying to block coming to get the checkered flag last year.
Didn't work out so well.
No, it didn't.
Brian Scott was the guy right behind Brad Keselowski in that outside lane, and he got shoved wide, I guess, and bailed out because he's all the way at the back of this pack now in the 2-car. Brian back in 21st place. Trying to regain that lost ground.
That's going to be difficult to do. Just nowhere to go.
And again, that same thing where that outside lane has just been tough to advance today.
But the second lane won't work. He's pretty sure the third lane won't.
Yeah.
They're getting to the point where they've got to try something. 13 laps to go, and they're all the way at the back of this line. They've got to find some way to advance.
The one good thing, you can see Brad really working hard and trying to separate the 62 car, the Brendan Gaum there, from those front three. If he can do that, he's not really helping those three in front, so he can make a little bit of way forward there. Brendan Gaum doing a nice job here today, though, in the 62 car for Richard Childress. We talked when Trevor Bain first came here and watched him in the Daytona 500 and win that adventure, how good he was at drafting and knowing what to do and understanding it. And that's what put him in position to ultimately win the Daytona 500, trying to put that to good use here.
Outside lane up as far as third.
And they're inching their way there. It'd just be a matter of somebody, it would benefit someone on that inside to jump over there, get on the quarter panel of that 6 car for just a minute to get him separated from the 22, and they would lose a lot of momentum.
We get inside 10 laps to go, it makes you wonder who's going to push this issue as far as pushing and maybe draw a penalty.
Somebody's
they're going.
Water spraying off of somebody's car there.
Look at this.
To the lead, Keselowski.
I don't know if that water was coming out of Keselowski's car or coming out of Trevor Bain's. I think it may have been coming out of the 6 car.
Yeah, you would have to think that's where it would have been coming from.
Look at this, James Buescher going 3 wide on the outside of the 99. Now Kyle Busch finds himself from first behind Regan Smith to being third in line and boxed in by Trevor Bain. Keselowski to the lead with 10 to go.
And talk about James Buescher recovering from that penalty that he got from earlier doing too much pushing.
That pass by Keselowski was the first time we've seen anybody out of the outside lane take the lead.
Elliott Sadler waving off Brendan Gaum a little bit.
It only took Keselowski about, 60 laps to do it?
Yeah. How about the roles reversed from last year for the first 2 cars?
Johnny Sauter had lost the right side window in his car, pitted under the caution just as we went back to green. Went from running in the top 10 to being lapped.
You might see someone like a Dale Jr. here push the issue just a little bit. He's got nothing to lose but trying to make his way even more forward. So will he get locked on trying to move this outside line a little bit closer, get the 3 car up to where he can get to the back of the 6 to move them forward? If he happens to draw a penalty, then so be it.
Remember a year ago, it was Regan Smith and Brad Keselowski racing for the win off the final corner to the checkered flag. When the contact between them triggered that big pileup. They find themselves first and second again with 8 laps to go. Roles reversed this time, Keselowski leading and Smith in second.
I think Keselowski spent so much time in that outside lane learning what it took to try to gain that inch at a time and 2 inches at a time that it paid off for him to get the lead. You see Trevor Bain now starting to make it work a little bit too.
Guys, you see the side drafting picking up here. You see Keselowski going up trying to pick up a little bit of that. Actually, to probably slow their momentum a little bit and also help keep him out front.
What Keselowski has to be careful of is not to open up the bottom for Regan Smith.
Exactly. He could find everything that he'd worked for, but you can see what he did. He halted that momentum just a little bit. A lot of games, a lot of more side drafting we're going to see. These cars are going to get closer and closer as they try to make this happen in these laps as they wind down.
Keselowski 22 leading the inside lane, trying to protect. 6, Trevor Bain in that outside lane with Ty Dillon behind him. 3 wide, a little farther back, Kyle Larson in the 42 trying to get something going. Not having much luck at it though.
now, 2 wide behind.
Kyle Busch would like to get Trevor Bayne behind him a little bit and maybe try and jump out in front of that lane to try something. He's third. Does he have a shot from third?
Yeah, he does. But you're right. He's going to have to clear that. And but the thing is, he's going to have enough room for his teammate Elliott Sadler to come with him. He can't jump out there and do it himself.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. moving up in the outside lane, running 7th.
I think if we see Kyle Busch try to make that move without using his teammate Elliott Sadler, then he's probably going to wait until we see coming to get the white flag or something, if he can get himself in front of the 6 to get enough time to make all of that work.
I think for Kyle Busch, he was sitting exactly where he wanted to. He was sitting in second. He was waiting for the end of the race, and I think Keselowski messed it up for him.
No doubt about that. 3 wide again. Wasn't long ago we saw Ryan Sieg there spinning down through the grass in the front. Look at the outside going.
Trouble behind the pack. Spinner in turn 3. Chad Boat in the 84 car. Caution is out as they come to 4 laps to go.
14. Shouldn't have too much damage.
Well.
This is going to shuffle the lanes up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's going to a lot.
And that's going to really be a big reset of circumstances for a sprint to the finish. How about that? Well, we said the late caution is likely. We've got the late caution inside the final 7 laps, as has been history here. Don't forget, a lot of people are close on fuel. And Eric McClure obviously involved with Chad Boat in that incident that put us under yellow.
You can see the 84 car right here. Chad Boat gets in the back of the 14 of Eric McClure and just turns him around. Both of them actually get turned around.
Yeah, it looked like that the 84 guy had a run there to the inside, and maybe Eric McClure didn't realize that he was coming.
Dakota Armstrong's view of it.
See, he pulls down there. He's got this run. There's not really enough space to be getting in there. A little inexperience there, lesson learned.
Chad Boat, one of the many young drivers in this NASCAR Nationwide Series this year. The Arizona native, son of the former Indianapolis 500 pole winner, Billy Boat.
Yeah, it's nice when you can learn a lesson that didn't hurt. You know?
Yeah, we're looking at this now, how they're going to score this. When the caution came out, Trevor Bayne right now on the scoreboard showing 3rd, which would put him on the inside lane on the restart. It's not the way they're running on the track right now. He's running 4th.
So fuel is close. Strategy. What are crew chiefs telling their drivers? What are crew chiefs telling us, Vince?
With Jeremy Bullins, the crew chief for Brad Keselowski, you guys worked so hard on that outside line to get that top spot. Now, how do you hold them off on these final restart?
Well, you know, it reminds me of an old Cup race where you're just kind of camped out on the yellow line and hoping the outside line can't get enough momentum to get to you. So it's a lot different than what we've had with these nationwide cars, but our discount tire Mustang's been really good all day, and we managed to get it up there. Now we just got to keep it there.
Thanks, Jeremy. Let's go to Jamie Little.
Brian Pemberton calling the shots on the pit box for Regan Smith. Now Regan Smith sitting 2nd. How's the fuel situation right now?
I mean, I think it's good to lap 200. It's really, depends on what, if there's green, white checkers. When he gets real low on fuel, that's when people have a hard time restarting, picking up, maybe picks up a little bit of air. I'm sure we're not the only one in exactly that situation, but that's something we need to be concerned with.
Definitely a concern. Let's go to Dave.
Danny Stockman talking to his young driver. Danny, what's your fuel situation, and how's his race after an earlier penalty, overcoming that?
Fuel situation's a lot better than most here, so I feel like we're okay there. I'd be a vet man, but I don't think that's going to be the last caution. The spit road speeding penalty, it allowed us to have enough fuel right here, so it is what it is. These speedway races are just so much going on, man. We're just see if we can get to the end of this thing.
He's holding on till the end. Dr. Punch?
I heard Dale Jr. tell his crew chief to tell the guys in front of him, you got to push to pass. What's he got for these final few laps, Artie?
I know, we just can't go anywhere. the lane stalled. That outside line was going, then it stalled out. So when the guy's leading, the guy behind the other guy's got to push down the straightaway, or you're not going to go anywhere.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was saying, guys, you got to push. He was trying to get the 3 car in front of him to get up there and push to get him going. That wasn't happening. Alan?
Well, Doc, Daytona, always known for fabulous finishes. This speed week has been no exception. We saw great ones on Thursday night in the Budweiser Duel races, and then last night in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, Timothy Peters and Kyle Busch to the checkers.
Yeah, I tell you what, this was textbook pass that Kyle Busch made right here. Timothy Peters done a great job to get himself there. Looked like he had a win, but Kyle Busch did everything you're supposed to do to get to the line first.
Yeah, it looked like there's no way he had enough time to get to the line before Timothy Peters, but he did.
So Kyle Busch winning last night, looking for the double here at Daytona today. He's led the most laps in this race, and of course the last lap pass in the Nationwide Series has been a pretty regular thing.
Yeah, and something that's going to be different on this restart. In the past few that we've had, it was teammates letting each other down in line and things, so the outside lane was actually back about 4th or 5th in line. That's not going to happen here. Regan Smith's going to be on the throttle going hard from the very beginning, so can they stay up there with that? I can't see. Well, Kyle Busch is going to have to work with Brad Keselowski for a little bit to try to get them away to where he can make a move on the last lap.
Keselowski's team is thinking this.
Dude, this is a green, white checkered, ain't it? Yeah. Brilliant work, man. Finish it off. We're trying, buddy. Saving fuel, too. Am I going to be okay? Man, keep digging.
Okay, so it's a green-white checker at Daytona, a little overtime racing. NASCAR rules, if the race is under caution at its scheduled distance, they go extra distance, so we'll wave the green flag. If they make it back around to the white without a caution, they wave the white flag and the next flag ends the race, be it the yellow or the checkers. We have 28 cars on the lead lap. Jamie Dick got the free pass under this caution flag. You see everybody's close on fuel and trying to save all the gas they can. And Brad Keselowski in the 22 with Kyle Busch behind him. Regan Smith to his outside, Trevor Baynes second in line in that outside draft. How's it going to turn out?
Yeah, as a driver, you always hated being low on fuel with the pack, but this is the worst at Daytona and Talladega. Smith down there side drafting right on the door of the 22.
Hard, Kyle's pushing hard.
6 is the one that pushed the 22 there to get the lead.
Pushing hard.
Big bump draft Kyle Busch into the back of Keselowski to try and shoot him clear of Smith. Is it going to work?
They're going to make it to the white flag, it looks like.
Keselowski clear to the lead. Last lap at Daytona. Can Smith rally back? Can Kyle Busch find a way clear on that inside line of the traffic? Or will the caution come out and end it early?
That's what you have to do. You can't wait to make your move. You got to go. See the bumping, but they can't stay locked on even on this last lap.
Hold your breath. Here they come to the checkered flag. Keselowski and Smith and the whole pack steaming to the finish line. Regan Smith wins it by a fender. Trouble after the checkered flag. They're crashing down in turn 1.
You're right. Lock it down, you're all right.
Oh, wow. Ryan Reed into Joe Nemechek hard. You see the cars involved. You see Reed climbing from his machine. How about that? First, they all made it back, and what a run to the finish.
Yeah, I didn't think we could see the outside lane get the advantage coming to the checker flag. But they did.
I tell you what, that was two drivers working together there. Elliott Sadler also third car in line at that made all of that happen from that outside. But Trevor Bain did a tremendous job with Regan Smith, and Regan doing everything he could to slow the momentum down of Brad Keselowski. Just tremendous job. What a win.
Regan Smith from...
How's that for some redemption for last year?
Kind of led where I was going to say. From Cato, New York, leading within a few hundred yards of the checkered flag at Daytona a year ago, wound up finishing 14th after that vicious and violent crash. He and Brad Keselowski again racing to the checkers, and this time by that much.
Wow. 0.013. That's closer than the truck race last night.
Yeah. What a finish. Then, after they took the checkered flag, there were so many cars in a tight bunch. As people tried to slow down and sort it out down toward turn one, there was contact and contact and contact. This is after the checkers. That was Junior who hit Kyle Larson and set that off, it looks like.
Oh, that was a hard lick right there for Ryan Reed.
Yeah.
After you get to the checker flag, you think you've made it. And now this happens. This is a tough one to take. Joe just kind of minded his own business.
Yeah.
So was Ryan Reed. Tangled up in that.
When he came from turn four toward the checkered, Junior pulled out 3 wide and made a 3 wide low move at the finish line. You see him here coming, well, that's after the checkers, but coming to the checkers, he made a 3 wide move low, which you're supposed to do, try and get everything you can at the checkers, but that just kind of bottled them up when they got past the checkers and everybody tried to get woed up. Well, what a finish. Regan Smith gets the Daytona win that he was so close to a year ago, and what a job he did. What a drive. Junior checking on Joe Nemechek to make sure everybody's okay. Always a big celebration when you win at Daytona, that's for sure. Another Daytona that did not disappoint. For the NASCAR Nationwide Series, a spectacular last few laps, a spectacular finish that sees Cato, New York's Regan Smith in victory lane. Team that had some problems earlier in the weekend when they had a mechanical problem under the hood on their car, managed to make the repairs, minimize the practice time lost, get it all sorted out, and boy, what a masterful job the driver did to weave through those tricky last several laps.
I tell you what, he's fun to watch at these places. He just gets the job done, always has.
The boss, Dale Jr., Regan's team owner.
High on the prize. Right here.
High fives all around from the entire team, pit crew. Regan, you told me before you got in the car, you guys have made some big changes to this team in the offseason, including your crew chief. What did it take to get you guys here refocused and back to victory lane?
Well, we never lost the focus. I think this team, this company, this organization, we've had the same focus all along. So it's pretty easy to get everybody refocused. It's good to come out of the box strong like this. This is Daytona. It's tough to win here, and I thought we had one last year, and didn't quite happen last year, but this thing was fast. Once I got out front, I was able to stay up there and take a push from guys, or as they'd slam into you or whatnot. Got to thank Ragu Sauces, Chevy, Fire Alarm Services, Hellman's, all the partners we have, Napa, a lot of partners at Junior Motorsports, TaxSlayer especially, to be on the car a lot later on this year. I'm excited. I'm getting tongue-tied here.
Regan, we heard on the radio, redemption. This is all about redemption. What does this mean for this team? We saw Dale Jr., the team owner, come up and be the first to congratulate you.
Well, it means a lot. Like I said, this is Daytona. It's a good start to the year. There's still 32 more of these races left, but after last year, what happened at the start-finish line, I felt terrible. And it's a situation where you can't change it. You're just thankful everybody was able to come back from the injuries and stuff like that and be okay. But I wanted to see the checkered flag in a proper manner at Daytona and not causing a wreck there in the middle of a wreck. And it means a lot. I'm proud of this company, the hard work. It's been 2 years of steadily working day in and day out, and it's going to be a good year. I can't forget to thank the 6 car, because without him back there committed to giving us a little bit of shove when we could get it, it's tough. With the new rules, you're floating on such a fine line, and he did a really nice job. And I was able to side draft Brad at just the right time and stall him out, and drove to the wall and kept it up there.
All right, Regan Smith in victory lane at Daytona for the first time.
You heard him say it twice, what it means to win at Daytona. It's hard to win here.
Hard, yeah. You got so few chances at it.
And he had to earn this one. The tactics in the draft today, so on. He mentioned Trevor Bayne in the 6 with the bumps. He had Brad Keselowski to his inside, and he found a way to get the fender out front.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski had Kyle Busch pushing him just as good as it could happen. But look at just that little advantage that Regan Smith was able to get right there.
He separated himself there, so he had some momentum, and then the 6 car gives him a hit right at that time and kind of propelled him out just barely ahead. Wow.
And what a great job by all these drivers. They were so tight together off turn 2. I didn't see any way they'd make it back around here without a crash, and they all did.
Yeah, it seemed like every car in the field was making contact that last lap.
Brad Keselowski has to settle for second by a skosh, Vince.
Well, he just watched the finish, too, I think with as closest to the screen as he could get it there to see exactly how it ended up. What's going through your mind when you're coming to the checkers and you know it's as close as it is?
Yeah, there's nothing really you can do other than just hold it down, Vince, as hard as you can, hold the gas pedal down. And that's what we did. And we had a really fast discount tire Ford Mustang. It just wasn't quite enough. And that push that Trevor gave Regan was just a little bit stronger than the one that Kyle gave me. And that's just part of racing.
Got to ask you about the penalty that Buescher got for pushing you. What was your feel from inside the car? What was happening there?
Well, there was definitely some contact, but it's hard to say. It's such a ball strike call. And I think that you could probably say that something like that happened somewhere else and didn't get called in a race, but that's just part of it. It's unfortunate. It's tough. NASCAR's in a really tough box to try to police the tandem. But, quite honestly, I think the racing today with the spoiler change that was made on the cars, we really didn't need a tandem rule because if you tried to tandem, you couldn't get too far away from the pack. So, it kind of is what it is, and just move on.
Heck of a run today. Wish you the best tomorrow.
Thanks, Vince.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
Vince, Kyle Busch was scored in 4th today. He could not push Brad Keselowski past Regan Smith. Why not?
I think the 3 fell off my rear bumper, so the inside line just started to deteriorate a little bit there, and so we lost our closeness in order to bump. But I don't know. It was interesting race, certainly there the last 10 laps, and especially the last restart on, So good race for the Monster Energy Camry. These guys brought a good car to the racetrack. It was a fast race car. I thought we were pretty good leading the bottom there much of the day, and I think we led the most laps. But certainly be nice to end up in victory lane here, have a chance to go after a sweep for the weekend. But bigger fish to fry tomorrow, and we'll see how all that plays out. But can't say enough about everyone from Toyota, Monster Energy, and Nationwide Insurance and the fans for sticking with us here today throughout the race.
Kyle, was this style today, was it racy, or was it more of a mind game wanting not to get penalized for locking on?
Well, you're playing with fire and nitrous oxide at the same time. Just trying to mix the two right and not make a big explosion where NASCAR penalizes you, So it was tough just to play that and to know how hard to play that and what to do. I thought the outside was really, really, really aggressive there at the end of the race, but that's not my call. But we had the 7 was so aggressive, just pinching 22 down, and that's what you got to do. And I was touching his door while touching the apron at the same time there, just no room, nowhere to go, and just kind of stuck in a box. So I was just doing my part, trying to push as hard as I could or bump as hard as I could and get our lane moving to open up a spot for me to go, but never happened.
Solid 4th place for Kyle today. Vince?
And finishing 5th was Elliott Sadler, who was fast all weekend long, and I don't think was out of the top 5 all day today. But what more could you have done to gain the positions? Because it seemed like you were going to be in a box there.
It is, and it's tough with the pushing. You can't really push the guy. You kind of got to hit him, get off of him, get off of him. So it's hard to gain that momentum. But you were right. My one-name financial Toyota Camry was, holy cow, was fast all weekend long. We had a great car. We were in line with Kyle there for a long time, and somehow in that last restart, they made us restart 6th instead of 5th, and I still don't understand that. And that kind of split us up and put us in a position on the outside where you kind of boxed in. So kind of feel blessed to finish 5th after that. So just proud of my guys. Cars in one piece. Good start to the season. I mean, we wanted to win, but if you can't do that, you'll take a car in one piece and go to Talladega.
Coming out of here with a top 5. Well done. Elliott Sadler, 5th place. Let's go to Dave.
With Trevor Bay now, who was also assessing the day from a should I push hard, should I stay, I don't want to get penalized. Give us your perspective.
Well, most of the day we spent trying to get to the front after qualifying. Didn't go great, unfortunately, for Chris Buescher and Ryan Reed. Didn't go great for them either, but we got our Roush Fenway Mustang to the front when it mattered. We were wondering when the timing would be. It seemed like it was 2 lanes and you couldn't really move much. And I saw the 99 get black flag for pushing too long, so I knew that there was a limit. I just had to find it. And fortunately for us, with our Advocare Mustang, we just figured out how to time that push. And we were able to push the 22 to the front. I was hoping somebody could figure out how to push me like that and we could get to the front, but it didn't happen. The 7 got up in front of us, and we pushed into the lead and tried to go through the middle at the end to get a win for this deal. But at the end of the day, a 3rd place finish at Daytona is a really good day, especially when we're racing for a championship this season. We know that's got to be our mindset week in and week out. Don't put ourselves in trouble and come home with strong finishes and still battle for wins. And I think we did all those things today.
Accomplished many of their goals. Jamie?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in victory lane at Daytona as the team owner. What is it like for you, Junior, to stand here and watch your team celebrate?
After they come so close last year, just real happy for Regan and Ragu and all our partners, Tax Slayer, everybody that's on board this year to come down to Daytona. It's a big racetrack and a big race, and I'm just happy for Regan, man. He was really, stressed out over last year and how close he came to winning this race, and it's a great boost for our company. We're heading in a good direction, and hopefully this is just the start of something more.
Junior, what does it take in the off season for the team to build up and to come out as strong as you guys have? I know you made some changes with the crew chief as well.
Yeah, every time you make changes like that, you get concerned, but we all felt like we were making good changes, and it was going to work out in favor for everybody, and we were thinking long term, and I'm glad that Regan's and Ryan are hitting it off well at the start. Regan was real worried at the beginning of the off season as to what changes we're gonna make and how that was going to affect him, because he was really enjoying his situation. But it's it's going to work out. I'm just happy we got this is the first time I've ever come down here where we got 3 cars rolling at the end of this thing, so we're real happy about that.
Well, at the end there, Junior, you guys have the victory here, but the agony of defeat, there was the big crash you were involved with. Take us through what you saw.
Yeah, well, just, it was after the finish line, and I ran in the back of the 42, and didn't think they were going to all slow down that fast, but just hate it for those guys out. They want a body. They can send their car over there. I'll put a new body on it. I'll get Joe to send his body over there. We'll put a body on it too, his car. But I hate that happened. Sorry about that. It was all my fault, and glad it wasn't any bigger than that.
Congratulations. Go celebrate with the team. He has a job to do tomorrow, Nicole. Of course, the Daytona 500 coming up.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of a big job. We say for this particular race that Daytona is not necessarily a good indicator of the rest of the season to come. However, it is a championship contender in Regan Smith, who is in victory lane. And when you look at what has happened between last year's race and this year's race, the same in some regards, but very different in others. Boy, what a difference it makes, at least in that longest yard, which we talked about earlier. Regan Smith, 1 season ago, had the lead coming out of 4, and then that vicious wreck.
It was a big difference in my opinion. A huge wreck last year, like you said. Now, last year they could bump draft. They could beat on each other. This year they could not bump draft. They couldn't do it like last year. And because of that, I think that's the reason these guys did not wreck getting to the line. It was a great last lap. It really looked good. Obviously a lot better than last year.
Yeah, and Regan should have won that race last year. He does win this race this year. It's a great omen for this 7 team and Regan Smith as far as the championship is concerned. He bounced right back.
Russ, you just touched on it. The drivers talked about it, how they were in a bit of a box today. Passing was difficult. They couldn't bump draft. They couldn't lock on and push each other. Do you think them being in that box saved a bunch of cars today?
Oh, without question. If they had been able to push and beat and bang a little bit more and lock up with each other, we've seen what happens when it comes down to that last lap. There's always something catastrophic. So not being able to hook up in a big freight train, nose to tail, and push, and someone get askew, it saved a lot of cars today. I really do believe that.
The last 2 Nationwide Series champions are now racing in Cup. We started this day talking about Regan Smith and his desire to get back to the Cup Series in a quality ride. You said that this is a make or break year. Fine, this race is not a good indicator of what to come. However, how important is momentum for that team?
Yeah, it's everything, and I do think this is an indicator because of what I saw last year with Regan Smith. He is tenacious. He's a hard-nosed driver. Here he is bouncing right back, getting the victory that he thought he should have had last year. And we saw the run he had the first part of the season last year. If he backs that up as well, he could be on his way to the championship.
I'm telling you what, you're at the world center of racing right now, Daytona. This is a track everybody wants to come to, and to win right here and have that momentum, Nicole, and carry that into Phoenix next weekend for this team, it is so big for him, the team, everybody back at that shop. Yes, what a win heard around the country for this team.
A very solid performance for a veteran driver, but the rookies in this class, they didn't do too bad either today, Vince.
7th place for Ty Dillon today, and I know you had your hands full a couple of times. Assess how this one went for you this afternoon.
It went really well. I think we accomplished our goals, make it through Daytona unscathed and get a good finish out of it. Our Bass Pro Shop Chevy was really fast all day. We came from 23rd up to 2nd, and I kind of made a mistake myself getting a speeding penalty on pit road, but we were able to rally, get back through the field without getting in any trouble or anything. And it's just it's pretty cool racing. Without the tandem, I think everybody can move around a little bit more and be aggressive, but you're also a little bit more in control of your car coming to the finish. So I hope it's an exciting race. I love this NASCAR Nationwide Insurance Series. I got to thank Bass Pro Shops, Westco, Yingling, Light Lager. We're going to have a great year this year, and we're going to battle for a championship as a rookie. I have an awesome team behind me, and I got to thank Police Iowa, and just having a great year, and happy to get a good finish here in Daytona and battle on for the rest of the year.
Watching it on television, it seemed like chaos out on the racetrack. How's it feel from the seat?
It feels about like chaos, but when you're on the bottom, I guess I was in 3rd on the bottom, and there's 2 cars in front of you beating and banging Kyle and the 7. You don't know when they're going to wreck, so you're kind of looking for an escape route. I was running out of gas on the backstretch, and you're in it. You're hammered down, and you're just getting what you can get, and it turned out to be a great finish. And congratulations to Regan. They did a great job. I didn't think they were going to be able to pull it off, but they had a great run coming to the checkered, and hopefully we'll get one soon.
Job well done by the rookie. Ty Dillon finishes 7th today.
Speaking of rookies, Vince, Dylan Kwasniewski learned early, and I think he knew what happens to rookies at Daytona. Don't get a lot of help early on. How did you get back to 8th by the end of the day?
You know, just you kept plugging away. I mean, obviously we had a good car. Rockstar Need Your Drink Chevrolet was great. You know, team did a good job. I screwed up on a lot of pit stops, and I'm sorry about that, but I'll learn from it. But just thanks to everyone, Turner Scott Motorsports, Nationwide Insurance for helping us out with this. And solid finish, that's for sure. Learned a lot, and we'll take this into the next race and hopefully learn from it.
Phoenix next week. We'll see how he does, AB. This young rookie, he's got a good shot at being a bright star all year long.
Absolutely, Dave. And as we look at the finishing results today from the Nationwide Series 300-miler at Daytona, Regan Smith, the winner. A lot of the experience wound up at the top of the board, and that's not really a surprise here.
Yeah, really no surprise that would happen, because that's what this type of racing and the drafting that you had to do came down to that. But a lot of good finishes here.
Yeah, and you see Dylan Kwasniewski gets the top 10, first start in the series. Gotta say that's a good thing for him.
Ryan Sieg came back from getting spun through the tri-oval for a top 10 finish.
Yep. Chase Elliott there in 15th. Solid effort for him all day long.
Only 4 drivers failed to finish. There were 27 on the lead lap today, and we had just 6 caution flags for 20 laps. Never had the big one, and we had a thrilling finish whose margin of victory was 13 one-thousandths of a second between Regan Smith and Brad Keselowski. Well, we started off talking about a couple of themes. First, the young drivers, the youth in the field versus the experience. Your opinion on what you saw today from the young drivers?
I think they did a terrific job. I think they were very patient at the beginning. They earned a lot of respect out there, and therefore, by the end, they were able to get some help and work with some people. So I was very impressed with what they did. I think the biggest problems they had were probably on pit road, and that takes a lot getting used to. You kind of forget that of these big cars and the power and things that you have to do to get them in and off of pit road, and but lessons learned there.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. You're talking about really young drivers out here with very, very little experience. They did a good job. There's 2 of them that finished in the top 10. You hear Dylan Kwasniewski talking about mistakes he made during the day. He's still got a top 10, and he knows how to smooth those out going forward. I think he's got a bright future.
And we talked about how NASCAR's rules saying no push drafting, but bump drafting was okay, would play into how the race finished. Just 1 penalty issued through the day. James Buescher got black flagged for push drafting. They all made it to the finish without piling up, but boy, it was close.
Yeah, and we haven't seen that in quite a while. So I think what it did was it made 2 solid lines coming around here for those last few laps. Therefore, the blocking wasn't as much as an issue, and that's what we've seen create the problems. It wasn't as much the pushing that they were doing, it was the blocking as they got single file and then someone trying to protect that position. That wasn't the case today, and ended up a terrific finish.
Yeah, this racing is way different today than what we've been seeing in this series, and it brought with it a really close finish. We saw that, but there wasn't near as many lead changes. It was very difficult and frustrating for a lot of the guys, especially on that outside lane all day long, to try to get that push to get to the front. You know, there's going to be mixed reviews on this new rule, but it did produce a very close, exciting finish.
And just a quick thought that when you mentioned that outside lane, I'll bet a lot of those NASCAR Sprint Cup drivers were watching that, and it's got them thinking about what it's going to be like tomorrow for the Daytona 500. Saw a crash after the checkered flag. We talked to Dale Earnhardt Jr. a minute ago about it. He tagging Kyle Larson, who got Joe Nemechek, who got Ryan Sieg, and the biggest hit when Nemechek's car came back up across the racetrack and was hit by the still very fast-moving car of Ryan Reed right here. We saw Reed climb from his car down on the infield, and Dr. Jerry Punch has an update for us.
Yeah, Alan, I'm told that Ryan Reed will still be in the medical center for quite a while. Remember, he began the day with not feeling well, had to come here early in the morning because of IV fluids, a stomach virus. He's a type 1 insulin-dependent diabetic. So I have been told by a NASCAR official here just moments ago that it's going to be a little bit for Ryan Reed as he gets checked out and maybe even has a little more fluid involved, but no other updates at this point in time.
All right, Doc, thank you. So that's the update on Ryan Reed, who, again, we did see climb from that race car after that post-checkered flag crash. And so it's begun. The 2014 campaign for the NASCAR Nationwide Series that you'll see completely on the ESPN family of networks. Next Saturday, it's off to Phoenix.
Yeah, I think what's great about this season is you look at the upcoming races, how different these first 4 in particular are, the different type of racetracks. And we've seen these nationwide cars and drivers put on great shows at Phoenix. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, the teams and trucks are going to be busy going back and forth across the country, but there's some great racetracks that we're going to see here in the next few weeks.
All of those events, tickets available, NASCAR.com/tickets, or the number that was on the screen. So next Saturday, it's off to Phoenix at 3:30 Eastern Time. Don't forget that race is on ABC. Look forward to that one. And as for today, what a job that young man did in working his way finally to victory lane at Daytona.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. He's a great young man, but we've talked about how many times he's put himself in position to win these races at these side tracks. Today it happened for him.
Yeah, I think for Junior Motorsports, they're making a statement. They're upping their game a little bit this year, and it might be the year we see them wind up on top of the championship.
A good, safe race and an exciting finish at Daytona today. And, of course, tomorrow it is the Daytona 500. It's 56th running, and we'll have our Sports Center at the Daytona 500 special on the air at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And Sports Center coverage all throughout pre-race and post-race from here at Daytona. Up next, the Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy, SEC Basketball, LSU, and Kentucky. That's next. For now, the celebration is on in victory lane at Daytona after Regan Smith won a thrilling finish.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.